on to the next question. Why is it important, Simone, to actively engage high achievers in training programs? Because that's another group, another, you know, group of concern sometimes in organizations.
Mhm. It is important because you want high achievers to stay.
Yeah.
You want high achievers to stay in your organization, to continue to contribute, to have a long term plan for them
Hmm.
so that they can see where their growth and advancement is going to be. Because guess what? People with skills, people who are qualified and talented will be highly sought after.
Definitely.
And they are usually always interested in their growth and development.
Hmm.
So a high achiever, even though they may have a degree maybe or a certification,
Hmm.
that's the type of person that's going to want another one. They want to
Yes.
be engaged
Hmm.
mentally. They
Hmm.
want to know that they're being challenged. They want
Hmm.
to know that they are growing and that they're preparing themselves for advancement or that they are advancing. This is
Hmm.
why you shouldn't get turned off when a high achiever comes in an interview and asks, what are the advancement opportunities? What are the
Yep.
opportunities for growth and development? These are the questions that people are asking from the interview.
Right.
We
Especially
can't,
millennials and Gen Z.
yes, we can't
Hmm.
be turned off by that. We
Right.
have to now adjust our cultures to recognize that these people want to contribute and they want to grow as they contribute. They're
Right.
not going to be these sold out, blindly loyal to the organization and not get anything in return. That's
Yeah.
not going to happen. Those
Nothing
days are done.
more. Done and dusted. Done and
Done
dusted.
and dusted. I love that. I can
Mhm.
use that. You know, so high achievers need to be engaged. And these are the people who I think are prime to really sell training programs, right?
Mhm.
Because they're going to be in it to win it. They're going to be in it to achieve. They're going to complete the course
Yes.
because they are achievers. And so that's going to be great, a great selling point, a great data to say that, you know what, we put this group, this cohort through this training and we had 80-90% completion at this
Mhm.
level. And now we were able to check, 90 days down the road and we've seen a significant increase in XYZ, right? So I think that is the prime group that you should probably put through training.
And do you think that these high achievers too can become ambassadors for your employee training program?
Exactly. These are, yes, the ambassadors, the champions, the
Mhm.
pair learning, right? Getting them to now be the trainers, get
Yeah.
them out into the field. And you know what? That person who may be a bit intimidated by the technology, having Christine come and sit with me may be a whole less daunting than sending me to a classroom where I'm
Hmm.
sitting in with 10 other people who are uncomfortable with technology and we're all trying to pretend that we're good.
Right.
And we're not.
And we're not.
Not okay. And so we're not going to be honest. We're not going to open up. We're not going to ask the questions that we need to unless you have a really great trainer who's going to make you feel comfortable to
Hmm.
do that. But high achievers you can use to train others. And it's
And
very
mentor.
non-threatening. Of course, if they have the right tool, you have to show them how to train because I think
Right.
sometimes not everyone can teach or
Right.
train. And so that is important as well, that they have the personality and the patience
Hmm.
to work with others. But I think they would be excellent advocates for training and ways to use them in the environment.
Agreed. Agreed 100%.
Mhm.
So another group that we need to consider, well, two different groups are actually. We have people who are just coming into an organization, new to their careers, those type of things. So you have that set of people, and then you have people who are more experienced and more seasoned in their careers and in organizations. How should or what are the differences between the training programs that you would do for the newbies to the organization, newbies to the career, and the experienced people? What are the differences between those training programs?
Yeah, well, I think everyone is on a level playing field when they're new to the organization.
Okay.
And so, whether they are experienced or not, everyone should go through a very robust orientation and
Mm-hmm.
onboarding program.
Mm-hmm.
So, that should be a part of your learning experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
You should pay great attention to what you teach people when they walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Day one, they have to learn about the organization. They have to learn about the culture. They have to learn about the values. They have to learn about what's important to the organization. They have to learn about rules and regulations and expected conduct and performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that helps to set the tone for how they move through the organization. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing. That's the level playing field for everybody coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Moving from there, as we move through what we call that employee life cycle, you know, persons who are new to working or new in
Yeah.
their careers, they
Right.
need a different body of knowledge than more seasoned workers. And I'm
Right.
finding that I'm hearing more and more leaders are struggling to lead Gen Zs or people who are very young and new to the world of work.
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain things about um, just basic professional etiquette. Why do we work? What is expected of you, certain behaviors, how should you dress,
Mm-hmm.
the role of you and your cell phone, that relationship. so so they really need like a down home basics. This is what we expect coming in to this environment, coming into the workplace, and
Mm-hmm.
even learning how to work along with other people,
Right.
teamwork, how to ask for help if you're struggling, all of those types of things. Who do you go to for support, and all of those things. Now, people who are now transitioning, getting their feet wet, they're settling in their career, maybe they're the people now who may need to go after certifications or learning a deeper dive into the nuances of their career choice, right? So maybe I
Mm-hmm.
have a basic body of knowledge. Maybe I got a diploma from a career school or an associate degree or a bachelor's degree, but I'm still new,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I find that a lot of people think that because they have a degree that they are experienced.
That
There's
is
a big
true.
difference. And I'm seeing it a lot in the HR profession. And I'm not knocking it because I think it's wonderful that people want to segue into the profession. And
Mm-hmm.
so they may already have a bachelor's degree, and so they get a master's degree in HR. But then with that master's degree, they come in and they think, well, I should be an HR manager. Like, what's your problem? I have a master's degree, right? But you don't have any experience.
Got
So as you are transitioning in your career or you're doing a career change,
you. Mm-hmm.
you want to get information that aligns with you getting relevant experience at the same time. So the
Mm.
training that you may have at someone at that level may be more experiential. These are the people that may benefit from shadowing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, simple as boss for a day, these types of experiences, because they need to now apply. Remember, we're talking about training transfer, apply
Right.
that knowledge. So,
Mm-hmm.
yes, you may have learned that theory, but now you need to put it into practice.
Right.
And as
Right.
you build your experience and you become more seasoned, now you get into that group where I'm maybe trying to transition into higher levels of leadership, or I'm trying to transition into leadership, or I want to master what I'm doing. Like, some people don't want to be a people manager. They
Mm-hmm.
prefer to be a process manager or what they call an individual contributor.
Mm-hmm.
I am not really managing anyone, but I'm an expert at what I do. So even those types of people require different types of training where
Mhm.
they would benefit now from being a part of professional associations, going to conferences, because now they're networking and they're learning information that is real time.
Mhm.
This is current, this is what's trending in the
Right.
area, and how can I now come back and apply this in what I'm doing.
Right.
And definitely, if they're in leadership, more leadership development. I can't say it enough. We don't can't do it enough. We need our leaders to be prepared at all levels. New leaders,
Mhm.
middle management, senior leaders, executive level, C-suite leaders all need training, even though
Yep.
they may argue and say they don't. They do, because I have
Oh,
seen people who have risen to the levels of CEO, CFO, and they are still functioning like a team leader, like a new supervisor. How is it that a CEO still wants to interview, you know, people in entry level positions?
yeah, that's that.
Just let
No.
that go, man. You hiring people to do that for you. If you can't
Exactly.
trust your
That's
HR,
the thing,
your
the trust.
hiring manners, yeah, trust them to hire
Mm-hmm.
the right people so you could deal with more strategic tasks. You
Right.
don't have to be in there trying to figure out, well, who is this person? I don't even know who you hired the other day. Who is that on the front desk? Who is that answering the phone? Come on, man. You know?
Yeah, yeah, you have to let go and trust. And as you said, the people need the training that will help them to become leaders that they should be at whatever level they're at.
Whatever
Really, really
level.
important. And
Absolutely.
yeah, everything that you're saying makes it so important for organizations to have an actual L&D manager, like somebody who is dedicated to learning and development within the organization, because it's so much
It's
that
a
needs to
lot.
be done. There's
A
so much
lot.
to consider. There's so many different training programs that you have to create, so many different training modalities that you have to use, so many needs that you have to service. So
Yes.
if you were to give somebody tips for hiring an L&D manager, or if they can't afford an L&D manager, what tips would you give them to make learning and development really an integral part of company culture?
I think that they need to, and I'm talking about the learning and development manager, people in that department, I
Mhm.
believe that they need to have some training in organizational learning
Okay.
or a certification in training.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many levels to this. Oh my goodness, because a lot of times people think that training is just the delivery, right? Being a platform trainer and having those skills.
Mm-hmm.
But the success of training is also in the preparation. So you have to be able to do your training needs assessment.
Mm-hmm.
You have to build relationships with your leaders in the organization so you can tap in to know exactly, what
Yes.
is needed. What are the
Right. What's the
critical
problem?
needs,
Mm-hmm.
right? The
Mm-hmm.
critical skills that are needed
Mm-hmm.
so that you can now begin to strategically, and I keep saying this word, craft programs, activities, courses, whatever that may be, that would satisfy those needs and in the
Mm-hmm.
time frame. We've not even talked about, Christine, succession,
Yeah, that's a big one.
preparing people for their next, for their
Yes.
career transition,
Yes.
right? And,
Mm-hmm.
and and making sure that we have a pool of people who are ready to
Mm-hmm.
move, and what is their level of readiness.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that they're 1 year away, 2 years away, 3 years away? That will now require, what training needs do they have? So you need a learning and development manager who can think strategically,
Mm-hmm.
who will be able to research and analyze and then create And you will find that some organizations, large organizations, would
Mhm.
have people focusing on each of those functions.
Wow. So they have a manager for each of those learning and development functions.
I worked in an organization where I was the learning manager and we had a development manager. So
Oh,
I
interesting.
focused on, so it was the learning and development department. I was the
Interesting.
learning manager. We had a development manager. So I
Interesting.
focused on the training courses, creating
Mm-hmm.
the training, going and assessing and all of that, finding
Mm-hmm.
out what the needs were, and then
Mm-hmm.
coming up with training courses. And the development manager focused on leadership development, mentorship, cross training, like all of these other development opportunities. Now,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes our paths cross because if she created a program and she would say, well, there's a training element to this,
Mm-hmm.
would you create something for me to use in this development aspect? Some organizations may have someone that just focuses on what we call instructional design. They are just cranking out content.
Right.
You can see that now, right? Where companies just sell content,
Yep.
right? They could sell, we call off the shelf training.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the videos that you're talking about, the quizzes and all of the other things that are needed to build out a training program because it's time consuming.
Yep.
You may not be able to get all of this out of your learning and development manager.
Mm-mm. It's
So
too much.
you no, it's too much. So you have
Mhm.
to get the tools that this person would need to effectively execute learning and development in an organization.
Mhm.
And I just want to shout out my niece. She's tuning in
Oh,
all the
that's your
way from
niece.
Pittsburgh. Hi,
Can you say that name for me? Is that CCL?
Siesta. Siesta.
Siesta. It's a pretty name.
Yes, it's very pretty. And Harold, thank you. Thank you for joining as well.
We appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for supporting Simone. And I love that you said, Sieska, that you're not an HR professional, but you have an appreciation for what Simone does. And I have an appreciation for what she does too, because it's boy, it's a lot.
It is a lot. And you know what? Sometimes I'm talking and I'm dreaming at the same time because
Wow.
it's challenging to find an organization that really buys into training and doing training well. Putting the resources behind it, the funding, the
Mhm.
talent, the people that's needed to execute, it just would be so dreamy.
To have that perfect organization, right?
Yes, but I've learned over
Mhm.
the years, my experiences have taught me that you make the most of what you have. So you
Mhm.
don't get discouraged by what you don't have, but
Mhm.
really take what you have and run with it and show them how important learning and development can be and is to the organization. People get inspired, people are motivated, people work better,
Yep.
you know less waste, less
Mhm.
absenteeism, more teamwork, less
Mhm.
toxic environments when
Yep.
people really know what they're doing and they can be productive.
Yep. Agree 110%. And before we go into the final part of our discussion, which sums up everything that we would have spoken about today, I just want to let everybody know, because I know some people may not know exactly what one-on-one does, but one-on-one is a learn and development company in a sense. We offer a learning management system, and we also offer a library of 30,000 plus courses, ready-made courses. But we also have a content development team, as Simone was mentioning earlier, as an L&D manager and HR manager. You can't create everything yourself. So we have a team that can actually create this content for you, and that team consists of instructional designers, people who have experience in training and can actually develop courses that will make sense for your team. So we have the learning management system, we have the ready-made courses, and we have our content development team, and all of these things come together. Whether you want them separately or you want them together, they all form a part of helping you create a training program for your organization that really helps people get excited, motivated, interested, and builds the the morale within your organization. It helps your organization grow. So just wanted to drop that in there to let everybody know that's what we offer. And Donald is saying that training is an everyday opportunity for organizations' growth and development, which is so true, Donald.
Very true.
Training is something that should be done daily in multiple ways, whether you're using a learning management system or you're doing mentorship or you're doing experiential learning, as Simone mentioned earlier. There are so many ways to learn each and every day within an organization. And that's why
And
it's
you
so
know,
important to create that type of culture within your organization as well, where learning
exactly.
and development is a priority. It's very,
Exactly.
very
Because you can
important.
even use your team huddles, your pre-shift meetings if you're in that type of environment. And it doesn't have to be a long, drawn out thing. You can
Yep.
focus on one particular thing and
Mm-hmm.
take 10 to 15 focused minutes. It doesn't cost you anything, but a little bit of time and a little bit of preparation, and you get people engaged. You can even get like those champions, those high achievers, to give them a moment to shine.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different ways, as you mentioned, to just get learning in. You can
Yep.
do, the people give on the spot awards. I caught you in the act. I saw you implementing that particular thing that we trained on. I saw you
Awesome.
use the system. You
Right.
know, I'm going to give
Kudos.
you a Snickers bar, a thumbs up, a shout out in the HRIS system, or post it on the
Right.
bulletin board. It's just so many different ways to encourage people to learn, to recognize them, to reward them,
Mm-hmm.
incentivize them for embracing learning.
Yep. And that reward and recognition part is so important. It's so important to gamify, as we like to say in this
Yes.
in this space, gamify learning. And award points and badges and rewards. Just make the thing fun and interesting. Let people want to learn.
Yes.
Encourage the learning.
Yes, totally agree. I'm
Yep, yep.
definitely gonna have to circle back to you, Christine. I was happy when you talked about what one-on-one does. I'm like, ooh, I need to talk to her. I need content.
We're ready. We're ready for you, Simone. We're ready for
I
you.
need lots of content.
All right, Simone. So this has been a fantastic discussion, and I just wanted us to wrap up by leaving the audience with just three big tips, three top tips that they should really consider if they want to create a comprehensive employee training program that serves all levels of staff, everybody within the organization. So over to you to those three tips for those three tips.
Thank you so much. Well, tip number one is to assess the needs of the organization. What are the training needs? What are the levels of the staff in
Mm-hmm.
terms of what they need to learn? So, current needs and future needs. So,
Mm-hmm.
being able to project forward and using your business strategy to say, well, in 2 years, in 5 years, this is where we see the organization going.
Mm-hmm.
What is the skill set, the tools that we need, the people that we need to take us to where we're going, and how can we start preparing them now for where we're going? So assessment is critical to determine where you are. You can't move unless you know where you are,
Right.
and then you can create those proper strategies and solutions, and knowing how to identify what it is that we need. Right, the second thing would be to identify a learning and development partner. That's all I'm going to say. Whether that is a whether that is one-on-one, whether that is a consultant, whether that is a full-time manager, whether that's all of the above.
All
Get
of
your
the above.
full-time manager and one-on-one,
And one on one.
and your consultant, Simone Elbow, and you will have a winning learning and development strategy.
There we go.
But in all seriousness, you need someone that's going to focus on this and push it to make it happen. It's not going to happen by itself. As you can
Mm-hmm.
tell from our conversation, I don't know at what point you may have joined us, but there's so much to this, to learning and growing in an organization. That would be my second tip. And then the third tip for me is to put the resources behind learning.
Yep.
Make learning a priority.
Mm-hmm.
As they say, put money where your mouth is. A lot of times we give lip service We want people to change. We want service levels to
Mhm.
change. We want performance to change. We
Mhm.
want to make more money. Well, you got to spend some money
To
to
make
make
some
some
money.
money.
Yep.
So put the investment into training. And you may say, well, I don't have long dollars like some of these big corporations and big companies may have.
Right.
Find creative ways to make it happen. There's too many resources out there for you to not make it happen.
Mhm.
Too many resources. It's just, it really, you have no excuse.
Mhm.
There is no excuse. There's for any budget. Because as I mentioned,
People just
I'm sure you have the capability in your organization. You have people
we
right in
do.
your organization who can train. You have companies like One on One in the Caribbean. Listen, y'all, we are in the Caribbean. I'm in the Bahamas.
Yep.
Christine is in Jamaica,
Jamaica.
and they're doing big things.
Yep. 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 I will continue to do big things. Yes.
Exactly. And so you may be worrying about, cultural relevance. And
Mhm.
so when you have a regional company that can provide a context to the learning,
Exactly.
because of course there's, principles don't change.
Mhm.
Principles don't change across cultures, but there are nuances
Yep.
that you're able to focus on that will help people to engage with the learning
Mhm.
even better. And so those are the types of things that you need to consider. You want to know what's going on, get the state of the union, right? As they would say, what is going on in the organization? Get your finger on the pulse of what
Right.
is needed. Don't just sit around complaining about what's going wrong. Take a look at the data. What's the numbers? Get out
Right.
there and find out what's going on. Address those solutions. Have someone in the organization who's going to focus on that, whether that's internal or an external consultant, an organization that can help you create the kind of training programs that will meet the needs of your organization now and in the future. And don't be afraid to put the resources behind it. A one off annual seminar, y'all, is not going to do it.
No.
It's
It's not
not
gonna work.
going to do it.
Nope.
You send them to that conference, you send them to that workshop, and you expect them to be miraculously
Doesn't
transformed.
work like that.
It's not going to work. People need ongoing reinforcement.
Yep.
It's like riding a bike. And this is the last point that I'll make. It's like
Mhm.
riding a bike. There's a period where you not only have to have the training wheels, but you also need that loved one that's holding on the seat
Yep.
and showing you what to do. Pedal,
Pushing you
pushing
along,
you
you know?
forward.
Helping you out.
I have a little one at home, and we'll go to the park, and she wants to get on the swing. And I used to have to tell
Oh.
her when she was younger, well, you got to kick your leg out and
Right.
swing back if you want to go high, right? You got
Right.
to show them how to do it. And they'd be like, Mama, push me, push me. And then, you got to push them. And there comes a point where you don't have to push them. You're behind them, but they don't realize that
Because they're
they're doing it on their own. And that is the
right.
level of mastery that you get to when you train, you support, you coach, you retrain.
Mhm.
As they say, you have to learn, unlearn, relearn
Mhm.
in order to get to that place of mastery of something. And too often, we want to just throw people out there, go learn it, figure it out, make it happen. We say all these nice buzzwords in
Yep.
corporate. It's not helping people to perform better.
Not at all. Because they don't feel supported, they don't feel valued, they just feel like, push.
Deflated. They
Yep.
feel that I'm not able to grasp what I need. I was talking with a friend who joined a new organization, and he said the learning curve has taken so long
Hmm.
because there's no training. There's
Wow.
absolutely no training.
Just left on their own.
Left on their own. Who does that? In the name of saving money? And then you have retention issues because people who can't fight with it till they figure it out will leave.
Yeah. Yep.
because they feel stressed out. They know they're not incompetent, but they just feel like they can't get their brains around what's going on because they don't have the information, the support that they need to really perform at their maximum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So true. Learning and development, everyone, is critical, crucial, must be a part of your organization. It's not a nice to have, it's a must have. So I loved all of the points that Simone brought up today. And I really appreciate her taking the time to be with us. Simone, you mentioned that you do consultation. I don't know if you want to share your information with the audience so that they can reach out to you if they need an L&D specialist or an HR specialist.
Yes, certainly. You can visit my website, which is www.leadwithsimone. And do note my name has two M's. So leadwithsimone.com. You can email me at info@leadwithsimone.com. I am also here on LinkedIn. You can reach out to me on Facebook, on Instagram, and my contact information, my Calendly links if you want to connect and organize a meeting for us to talk about your needs. All of those are available on these social media platforms.
Awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. And again, everybody, remember that one on one is also here for you. We have a learning management system. We have a library of 30,000 plus ready made courses in all areas of business. And we also have a content creation team filled with experienced instructional designers. We're here to help you get your learning and development program off the ground and running. So us with Simone, wonderful combination. You can't beat that. You can't beat that. Yeah. All right, Simone, thank you so much again. It was a pleasure having you. And thank you, audience, for being here as well.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity.
I appreciate